recording the session just to share with those who are not here.
Sounds good.
But thank you everyone for being part of this LinkedIn Live. Hara and I have been talking about this for a long time now, and I have had this conversation with designers in over coffees or on LinkedIn or with Zoom calls. But there seem to be a lot of practitioners in the creative industry who are looking to start on their own. And right now, at least in the UK, majority of the design practice it's within consulting. That seems to be the biggest segment. So a lot of designers work for consultancies. Hara and I've done the same, and we also work in-house. And what often happens is when you decide to leave to start on your own, you start a consultancy, which makes sense because you have your client list, you have your experience, you can sort of hit the ground running. But more and more designers are looking to start their own product or service business, and that's a completely different shift from what they've been doing, whether it's in-house with clients or whether it's in strategy studios or consultancies. So today, Hara and I want to actually discuss what it means to be a founder of a service business and what does it take? How is that different? Is it worth it? And it open up a conversation that's really just coming from experience and learnings. So I'll stop there and I will let Hara introduce herself and her business very briefly, and then we can just jump right in.
Yeah, sounds great. I mean, Niharika already said a few things about me. So I'm Hara. 6 years ago, I've started a company called Todelli. We are an ethical food and drink market online. We curate every single product you will find there, and we say that we help people, have discover products that are good for you, good for the planet, and be a better self, if you like, improve their wellness and help them grow on the path of health and wellness. I've been doing this full time, I think, for the last 4 years as well. So the first few years were in between kind of contracts and kind of juggling a full-time job and also running an MVP for the product. So happy to talk about that as well.
Oh, brilliant. And Todelli is a fantastic platform. They've got a massive network of some of the best influencers, nutritionists, producers, chefs in the industry. They've held pop-ups across some of the most prestigious areas in London as well. So it's a fantastic business to look at. My first question, we're going to cover 5 key questions here. So my first question is, when you start your own business, you leave a large amount of security, stability behind, infrastructure behind. That seems to be the biggest problem. From your perspective, Hara, is it worth it and why?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. And I think it's worth actually describing a little bit my journey as well. So I'm like you, Niharika. I came and I studied interactive media in London. I did my master's there. I started working at service design agencies and design agencies as a first role. I then went in-house to businesses like Microsoft and Just Giving. And then I decided to actually start kind of an agency take a contract initially with Lloyds Bank. And then I've had other clients that like the Department of Trade and the Department of Education. But I realized at some point that I can also get more clients through the agency bit as well. So I've helped more than 25 kind of startup and mature clients on that side as well. It's not something I advertise at all on my profile. So it was happening behind the radar while I was building Todelli as a business. But is it worth it? I think it's a very kind of non-easy no easy answer question. I think you do have to feel really, really passionate, and you have to be on a mission about what you're trying to achieve. Like for Todelli, the driver was that I myself come from a farm to table family. Like my grandparents had a farm, my parents continued the tradition. I always had fresh and good quality food, and when I came to London, I couldn't easily find it. I started going on trips around Europe and in trade shows, and I've met hundreds of businesses. I talked to them and I created that empathy that we all, have as a plus, as designers. And I really, really felt passionate about those guys because they were small businesses, they're independent, and as every small business, they're struggling with their marketing needs. More than 99% fail, and that was my why on why I've started the business. And I think that's partially that's really important to have as a business founder. Really look deep down in yourself as almost as a psychologist would do, and try to answer why are you starting that business? What's your personal driver behind it? And try to understand that. It's not easy at all. We've done it with programs, with accelerators, to actually try and get there and understand why we're doing what we're doing. And I think that's number one. You have to have something that would really drive you through the challenges, because you have financial instability, which is something that you have to live with, and you have to feel comfortable living with. But on the other hand side, you have a lot of autonomy.
Yes.
So if you're good with actually, managing your time, which I know, for example, you are, then you're on a good path as an entrepreneur, because you have to be really strict
Yeah.
when it comes to making things work. Running a business requires a lot of time. My bottom line question would be: it's worth it if you want to leave. If you want to have a more independent lifestyle, but then you have to be ready to deal with financial insecurity. Perhaps you have to be ready with the business. You have to be ready to adopt a different mindset, which will lead us into your next question, perhaps as well. A different mindset, which is not just about design and vision, that
Yeah.
goes a little bit further as well.
No, absolutely. I think a lot of the times when you want to start a business, people think that you need a good idea. But
Mm,
actually, I've realized in my journey of being an entrepreneur for the last 4 years that actually you need a good purpose. And that
mm-hmm,
purpose can be many. So it is worth it if your purpose is to have a better work-life balance, and then you should choose and build a business like that. You cannot choose like a high growth, really stressful, maybe a tech business that are never, never like good for lifestyle.
agreed. Yeah.
You want to if your purpose is to make millions early on in the next short term, kind of get an exit, then you need to find an idea that is going to help you get to a really good exit. Because if you're selling things on Amazon and you're expecting a multi-million exit, that's not going to happen either. So
Mm-hmm,
you're absolutely right. It's really about finding what your purpose is. And also, if you're the kind of person who doesn't do well with who can work alone and is able to deal with a lot of financial insecurities, confidence, shots at your confidence because you're going to expand your skill sets, but also be okay with not to be not succeeding at every point.
yep.
Be okay with loneliness. Those are really massive factors that most founders, even if they work with others, say they feel very lonely in their journey, and I've experienced that myself. If you once you have that kind of real deep introspection, it is worth it. One of the reasons I also decided to start my own business is because I felt like whatever I wanted to achieve in my corporate career I had, then I was just doing the side shuffle, and then I was not
Mm-hmm.
intellectually or creatively stimulated, and I thought, is this going to be the rest of my life? And
Mm-hmm.
that's what made me feel like, okay, I need to invest in myself. So, but that is actually one of the biggest thing, to be able to go off and say, is it worth it? And do that in self introspection more than anything else. Which kind of leads me to my next question, which is, as a designer, you worked as a designer, I worked as a designer. We've been creative practitioners, and we studied that. A lot of people kind of gain that experience through their jobs. What if you had to shortlist, name a list of skills that you need to become a good founder? What would those skills be? So let's say I'm a designer, I want to leave my job and start my own product or service business, and I need additional skills to really get good at it. I've got my own shortlist, which I always rattle off, but I'd love
Mm-hmm.
to hear what your shortlist is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely being able to switch between hats. So one of the things is, and potentially, we're talking about us as designers, strategy designers, right? So not necessarily people who are just moving pixels around, because a lot of the times there is a misunderstanding that this is design. Product design is all about problem solving and looking things from a higher lens, if you like, looking at everything from above and holistically. So I think we as designers have a good get go, if you like, because of that, because we have the ability to actually look at strategy and vision, and try to formulate that from the very beginning. Now, the challenge is that when you're actually wanting that for your own business, sometimes you can make the mistake and not pay proper attention to that step, which is very, very crucial. So that would be number one, phase, not to lose, and really pay attention to what's your strategy, not only for the product but also for the business. And one thing I really learned from others in that space is, a lot of the time, you have to think as a designer and the problem you're solving, but also you have to think as a business designer, and ask yourself, who is your customer, and how and why they're going to pay you for something. And I think that's the most important question you have to answer to begin with any kind of business. Why would someone pay you instead of someone else?
Yeah.
And then the other bits is almost also, being able to wear multiple hats, at least at the beginning. And those hats would be around sales and marketing, advertising, financial kind of finding financial pores, like funding, for example, understanding how funding works. So sometimes you can learn those by yourself. If you have a background on economics, that really helps. If not, there are MBA, perhaps short courses out there that can help, give that 360 picture of how a business runs. Or if you have run your own agency slash contracting on the side, you definitely have a better idea of those stages of a business, if you like. Accounting, for example, is a really important thing. A good business is not a business that has revenue; it's a business that has profit. So how do you make sure you start from that, from the get go? And the UK as a market is quite tight, actually. The US is all about the idea and kind of historically, and how you can create a big community and a really successful product first. But actually the UK as a market is all about, are you already a successful entrepreneur? No one is going to pay attention to you unless you have a sustainable business first.
Yeah, I think very similar to you. The three things I think any designer should do before they start their own businesses, and things that I did, was open an Excel and get comfortable with your calculations. And I actually had a big block towards that, because I thought, if I get this wrong, then I've just messed up my entire business model. Um, and so I actually got help. I found another person who had done an MBA, who had worked as in the business sort of admin kind of
That's
space,
perfect.
who was a founder. And I asked him to help me work out my entire financial model. And then I sat with him and I understood how all of it was done bit by bit. So I
Yeah.
could replicate that and grow that model continuously as my business grew. And that helped me gain additional skills and get more comfortable. And then I could get more complex with my profit and losses, and where I have to give discounts, and where I have to, which markets do I go for? What's my target audience? What's the pay kind of value perception that people have? So those help, but I did get help. So I think getting comfortable with numbers and opening your Excel and figuring out what that looks like, how that works, is important. The second biggest learning and a skill set for me was performance marketing. Um, there is so much data analytics around understanding customers, using the right platforms that marketers use, helping get more people in, testing out your ideas, using AI to test out variations of your ideas. Uh, I think that if you are a good, strong performance marketer, you will be able to take your business a lot further than a designer can.
Yeah.
And aligning with good performance marketers who can tell you what's your hot market, what you should be advertising on LinkedIn, or you should be reaching out to audience on WhatsApp strategy, things like that. That's what makes your decent idea slightly better.
Yeah,
And
agreed.
I
That
and I
that
think
what
yeah,
that's what helps take your business to from the market fit phase, product
yeah,
market fit phase to the growth phase as well.
yeah,
So I would say probably you're right. Like you need someone, an advisor at each stage of the business. So if you are at an idea phase, you need someone next to you who even might be a designer to help you with strategy and vision and why you're doing what you're doing, and to another person probably to help you with your business model and financial and that side of thing. And then once you
exactly.
have, and most importantly, you need the 10 customers, right? You need those first customers that you might even do things free for, or at a low cost or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then well, we're going to move on to our next question. And then if there are
Mhm.
any questions at the end, because we're conscious we have 30 minutes of your time. So I want to cover the next question, which is kind of linked to what we've been talking about. What is the most important thing designers need to do when they start their business? And maybe I'll kick off with what I've done.
Sure.
The first few things that I have done is, after assuming you've got your idea, you've got your prototype, what you're building, developing, is hire a lawyer. And right
Mm.
now, we're in the middle of building our AI product, and we work so closely with lawyers because we need to understand anything from data privacy, terms and conditions, AI policies, copyrights, IPs, all of that. So depending on the kind of business you should have a lawyer by default. And lawyers are not cheap, right? And you need to get a good lawyer who has an understanding of which market. So let's say you're sitting in the UK, but actually you realize your main market is in the US or in the Middle East or in Europe. Then you need to have your lawyer that understands the regulations in those countries as well. So I think the first thing you need to do is get a lawyer for any product or service business. The second one is the second kind of person you need is somebody exactly like what you said, Hara, who understands how to grow a business,
Mhm.
performance marketing, growth marketing. That is a really good skill. Even before you can fundraise, you need to be able to show that your business can scale. People want to buy a business. You need to have answers to my best market is the UK. My most channel that gives me the highest return is Instagram, for example.
Mm.
I need this. If I spend this much, if I spend £100 or $100 on my Instagram ad campaigns, I get back $300. So so you get those proof of validations. So I think the two people that you always need on your team is a lawyer and is somebody in marketing and growth, because the rest of the rest of the aspects, whether it's design, it's copywriting, it's technical build, you can get suppliers to help you for that. But I would say those are the two most important people you need before you start a business. So what are your thoughts, Hara?
I would say number one is to figure out again how customers are going to pay you in for a while in order to have a business. And who are exactly your customers, and to create that profile and understand it from the very beginning, and run it multiple times till you refine your product market fit. I would say that the legal side of things depends on the complexity of your product as well. So there, Sid Legals, I think, is a platform out there that has a lot of that uh, you know legal documents. Perhaps they have managed to make them more accessible for founders. So that type of information, if your business is not too complicated, can be found there. And then additionally, as you say, Niharika, kind of have an expert who can help you kind of customize that and make it specific to your business. And then definitely once you have that product market fit, then you know what you're doing, and you've replicated the process a few times. You know your sales funnels. You know how people are coming through your business. Then start investing money and more time into marketing in order to essentially do repeat what you've done and start growing it so that more people can start coming into the business at a low effort. And that's also like another tricky thing, right? Sometimes we put a lot of effort when we start a business into kind of acquiring the first few customers, but you have to ask like on a longer term, how can I make that a low effort process so that new customers can come and almost automatically self-serve without myself or the founder being present, or by having a team. So that would also be the next step. How do you hire? How do you inspire people to join your business, and how you hire, you make your first hires, and how do you grow the business step by step so that you have other people to support you, especially when you don't have more than 24 hours within the day.
Yeah. And who are the, out of curiosity, what was the role that you first hired for when you started Todelli?
What do you mean?
Who are the, when you hired your people, the first few hires, what background did they have?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I went through, I'm not shy to say that I didn't have business experience, and I've learned through a lot of bumps throughout the way. And unless I was persistent, I would have given up. I've tried initially with sales, like to bring people on board that can help with that. That didn't work for me at all. And I realized that it was because I didn't have a really, really strong process in place. The process was more fluid, like versus like I really needed not to hire a salesperson. Actually, hiring a salesperson is the most difficult thing you will ever find yourself. So I ended up finding a really awesome person that could help me as a personal assistant to begin with, and she evolved into becoming like an acquisition person for us. And that was one of the most difficult things, like to get there and do it. And then, you will probably listen to from other companies as well, handling marketing and that side of things, from social to paid ads to that's a lot of time. Takes a lot of time at the beginning, but if I think we've managed actually to find a bundle of two ladies that joined us almost a year ago, and I'm grateful for the work they're doing, because they really freed up a lot of time that helped me look at the business side of things, and how I can grow that, if it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, we did the same thing. We hired the first person we hired was in growth marketing. So somebody who understood how to run campaigns, identify the right channels, test out what are the best markets. We started to find that some of our content and products are more useful in like countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, which you would have never thought of, and then so all of those insights were great for us. Helped us grow the business from an acquisition perspective. And then the second person we hired was in content side. So they developed all our content, email, our marketing outreach, and stuff like that. So I think we have two questions. We'll quickly take that. From Karan saying, would love to hear from both of you, Hara and Harika, what might be the two performance marketing channels that you found worked well for you in the last 12 months, and one or two that you're keen to explore in the coming quarters? So for us, for Design 3, we found that the email marketing, the email channels, sending out emails and newsletters was actually the best way to acquire and retain customers. And we found LinkedIn as our channel that was actually delivering the most value for money. And that came through a lot of testing and a lot of media buying, a lot of campaigns, which we got our performance marketing person to help us out with. And I think in moving forward, we're going to be exploring, we're going to stick to those two because we've done 2 years of testing to work out that that's the best way to retain customers as well as acquire new ones.
Mm.
What about you, Hara?
Well, I would answer that question with for us the most meaningful channel at the moment is Instagram, and that's because that's where our customers, both our customers but also our sellers are. And that's what I would challenge with everyone to kind of try and think about, where are your customers or your users or your people in general hang out? What do they do? What do they read? Or what do they browse? And that will give you the most effective channel for you as a business to go and look
Yeah.
at and experiment with. And that's the second most important bit. No one can actually give you an answer to that unless you experiment. You have to try different channels and see what's working for you and
Yeah.
what's not working. But for us, it's definitely Instagram. We haven't invested into, platforms like TikTok or yet. That's the other thing. Like you are probably a small business at the beginning, and it's okay if you don't do everything.
Yeah.
That's why it's all right to pick one channel
Yeah.
that's working for you after you've done your testing and kind of stick to it and stay there and trying to grow that.
I think it's a cost of failure as well.
Mm,
Cost of failure. So, for example, LinkedIn is very expensive as a channel.
it is.
Um, so you have to and we tried Instagram, we tried all the Meta products. We haven't tried WhatsApp yet. Maybe that's something that we've been thinking about exploring, but it's just about finding somebody who can manage that WhatsApp channel for us because there's so much content
Mm,
coming in. But you also have to say, okay, if I invest in LinkedIn, I'm going to have to put away this much money, and then I'm okay to lose it. If I invest in Meta business, and this is how much I will put in it, and then you kind of start experimenting. And I just want to pick up. We've got just a few minutes, so I'll pick up the
mhm.
last few questions. So Paul says it can also be helpful to keep talking with customers, which is prospective customers, encourage feedback and critique. We see over and over again, customers often enjoy feeling part of a new brand. And that's, from my experience, that's been actually one of the best things we've done. So we do continuous discoveries, which is like the best practice, which is, continuously do qualitative and quantitative insights, because by the time you gather enough data to learn about your customers, you need to be going for some time. So we run a lot of interviews online. We reach out to our network, and the reason why we are pivoting our business, we're building our AI product now, is because of that continuous feedback we're getting from customers. Some of our biggest insights have come from that, but
Mhm.
investing effort in that is what we have to plan. So we have a graduate program we run with universities, and we bring in a lot of design researchers who want to run who want to do their projects with us. And as part of that, we've been able to run a lot of research. Plus we've gone in there and done research. Plus we do events where we get research. We send out surveys, and then consolidating that is what is actually giving us some really big insights. So it's a lot of effort to do. And I know in my early part of my business days, I was lacking on that because I was just trying to get everything else done. But if you can do it, and if you have somebody who can actually own it, yeah, you're right. Well, it's one of the best things to do.
You have, yeah. And what I would actually want to invite people here is that a lot of the times actually we because I was wearing that hat for Todelli, I do kind of reach out to my network and to people I know and friends, and I say, hey, can you actually help me do another experience review on this and that, and kind of help me get back on track and move forward. So we speak to customers, as you said, Niharika, at our events as well, and we try to link the hybrid, world there of food, because food is all about taste, obviously. So we do physical events. People have a chance to try and see who we are firsthand, and then hopefully that will bring them again to shop online.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would invite anyone here who has like a a little bit of time in their hands to go and have a look and share their thoughts with me about the platform. And then in exchange, I'm happy to have a one-to-one with whoever wants a little bit of mentoring advice.
Yeah. And then we'll take the last two questions before we end. So Ilko says, how do you pick your co-founder? This is a very tricky thing because I know so many businesses who struggle because their co-founders have a fallout. Your co-founder is as good as your lifelong partner for the duration that you're running your business. You need to be absolutely in sync. You need to be able to be comfortable showing your worst side and your best side to your co-founder. A lot of trust is required with each other. Uh, my uh, my first experience finding a co-founder was actually really tough. I advertised on LinkedIn. I attended a lot of like accelerator networks. I reached out to my network. I looked at this website called The Co-Founder, where you can find co-founders and put up advertising. And I actually didn't find anyone that I thought I could see spending every day for the next, 10 years of my life. Um, I think, but now we're kind of growing. We're bringing in another key role, like a co-founder's type kind of role into our business. And that we have done through LinkedIn advertising and then talking to them for months on end to make sure that we're all really a good fit. But for me, the best thing would be if you know somebody, if you've got a friend um, or an ex-colleague who you implicitly trust and you have complementary skill sets, I would not recommend finding another design co-founder. I don't think that's helpful. But yeah, so I would say LinkedIn and going into your own personal network is probably the best thing. And then sort of going out and advertising and finding accelerator programs. In the UK, you have an accelerator program called Entrepreneur First that helps you find other co-founders and helps you set up your business. So you can find some programs like that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say probably say to everyone, that you need help with this. So if you're actually looking for a co-founder, just ask for help from every single friend, family member, colleague, whatever you might know, so that you can get introductions to people.
Yeah.
We all come from, backgrounds that hopefully can help us navigate this space, because as Niharika says, it's quite hard to find that kind of person without just out of the blue online. So yeah, introductions are definitely your best way to and also ask yourself why you need a co-founder in the first place, right? So if you don't need it, perhaps start the business on your own and see whether you can grow it by just hiring the right people.
Yeah, and if that is the case, then you do have people who work on commission basis as your CMOs, your CFOs, so fractional roles that you can advertise for. So let's say you're your own solo co-founder, you grow your business, you're like, now I really need some help. You can find people who will come and be your fractional CMO, and they take commission on whatever earnings you have, and you can make whatever equity, the different types of equity formats, you can make a deal with them on that. But you have to have the same exit plan. If you're running a lifestyle business, then it's unlikely that you'll find somebody who, you will need somebody who has the same ambition. You cannot find a fractional CFO or a CMO who wants a good exit and sell the business. So that, you need to find that. We'll take the last question before we close. So Vakarn says, from when you started your respective businesses to today, how has your decision making changed as regard to hiring and growth of your business?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to start?
Yeah.
You want to answer that, Hara?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, 100%. As anyone, you mature within your business. It's a soft skill that you cannot necessarily easily describe to people that potentially are starting now. That's why it's super, super good to have advisors and people who are ahead of you on that side of things. And and yeah, definitely we did change on the hiring side of things, on actually finding executive roles, so people who can actually do the work that we needed to get done in order to grow a specific process, a specific type side of the business, versus probably you don't need too many senior people when you're starting your own business. So you do need a strong advisory kind of side of things, but that can also sometimes be a little bit, how can I say this, take you away from your focus area, which is really hard for a new founder to find. So definitely takes time to mature and understand exactly what your needs are. So take that time to begin with, and experiment with your MVP, learn your product market fit really well, and then once you know your processes really well, then start thinking about hiring. That's what I would say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Our hiring strategy today, we have multiple levels. So we have our core team. We have an advisory board, which comes from very, very senior non-exec advisors from some of, tech companies like Microsoft to like consultancies. So we've got, they advise us on things, but we only rely on them when we have to make some big business decisions. Then we have our doing team, and we have a whole bunch of tools that automate it. And the doing team, we have now started shifting our hiring strategy to having the very core people we need to be in person with us, but we have gone remote because it helps us manage our costs better. And we have automated a lot of things with AI now. A lot of us, we've been experimenting with a lot of AI tools, um, and also email marketing and stuff like that. We're utilizing a lot of those automation tools. That's actually freed up a lot of our time. So automation and remote hiring, but never full-time hire. We only experiment with, we've had long-term hires like contracts, but we don't start with full-time anything. Even the tools we look at, we only do monthly payments. And then when we are really sure, we do annual payments, because then it saves us the cost and we know we're going to use the tool all the time. Similarly, for hires, we do short-term projects. If that works, then we do long-term. So yeah, I would say remote hire and automation has worked well for us now, and I think that's where we'll focus on. And then we have the different layers.
Yeah, remote hiring is a plus one for us. Like we've never, we probably haven't had an in-person hire for quite a few years now, post-COVID especially.
Yeah. And you have so many remote tools, it really helps, especially the kind of work you can get done is much faster. So you can also do part-time hires, because with AI tools, you can do things a lot faster. So they don't need to spend 5 days a week with you. So those are different models that we've been trying, and some of them actually in terms of content and stuff has succeeded for us. But I just want to summarize. We're 10 minutes over, so I won't take very long. I think we started off by saying, focus on your purpose. Is it worth it? Focus on your purpose. Why do you want to start your business? And then figure out whether your idea actually matches it. We spoke about the hiring strategies and how to find co-founders and where to find co-founders. We spoke about who are the people to hire first. So marketing, legal, sales, whether it's content, those kind of things. And we also spoke about the kind of skills that are needed. So marketing skills, performance marketing skills, and those kind of skills seem to be, and also numbers, getting good and comfortable with numbers is really important. And that overall business strategy, business design skills. So I hope you found it really useful. I mean, this is a topic we should be talking more and more about, because MBAs don't cover this. So I hope you all enjoyed the discussion. I know I've certainly enjoyed listening to you, Hara. So thank you for sharing that. And please reach out to us for any other discussions you would like to have, and we'll definitely try and do more of these in the future. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Hara.
Bye.
Bye.